All right, people, we have Donald Trump once again fighting with his own Republican Party. Donald Trump, the most incompetent, most corrupt leader in the history of this country. He controls, or rather his party, although his party has just become an extension of him because it's a cult, right? His party controls the House, the Senate, the White House, and the most corrupt Supreme Court in history, the same Supreme Court that said Donald Trump cannot be held accountable for crimes after he tried to steal the 2020 election with his false electors scheme. Every single justice who voted for that outcome, by the way, should get life sentences because it was traitorous behavior, frankly. But Donald Trump, despite having total control of every single arm of our government, he is nonstop fighting with Republicans regardless because he is so unpopular and he is losing power and losing political influence by the second. And we can see that here. Senate Majority Leader Republican John Thune rejects Trump on SAVE Act. The votes aren't there for a talking filibuster. So this started 2 days ago when Donald Trump posted on his privately owned social media platform. Very normal for the president to own a social media platform, by the way. He actually owns two because he owns Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is totally in his fucking pocket, and Elon Musk owns Twitter and used it as a propaganda machine and a vehicle for Trump to win the 2024 election. So very normal stuff going on here in our very healthy, functioning democracy. But 2 days ago, Donald Trump posted this on Truth Social. Great job by hardworking Scott Presler, one of the most disgusting, sycophantic freaks in the media over at Fox. I hope Fox gets dismantled and bulldozed once Democrats are back in power. Great job by hardworking Scott Presler on Fox and Friends talking about using the filibuster or talking filibuster in order to pass the Save America Act, an 88% issue with all voters. So first of all, this is just a lie. He's referencing this 88% number. 88% of Americans support voter ID laws. That is not what the Save America Act in any sense is limited to or intended to achieve, of course. But we'll get into that in a second. It must be done immediately. It supersedes everything else. Must go to the front line. I, as president, will not sign other bills until this is passed. This is Donald Trump saying, I will hold the country fucking hostage unless I get what I want because I'm a goddamn dictator. I will get what I want or the country will cease to function. And I mean, honestly, I kind of believe him at this point. I mean, he's completely tanking the economy with his stupid Iran war for no reason whatsoever, just shooting himself in the foot over and over. You would think instead of trying to do all this bullshit and rig elections, it would be easier to just try and do a good job governing the country, right? But obviously he's too stupid and incompetent to do that. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. So in response to this, in response to Trump basically threatening to hold the country hostage unless Republicans either get rid of the filibuster or find some way, any way to get his legislation passed, in response to this, John Thune said that the votes aren't there for a talking filibuster. The votes aren't there, one, to nuke the filibuster. And this is, of course, obviously true. Republicans are thinking a little longer term than Trump. Trump can't think more than 7 seconds into the future. Obviously, we've seen this time and time again, especially with his Iran war, where he invades and attacks another country without even filling our strategic oil reserves, right? And shooting up gas prices, like the one single thing that Americans will actually care about, other than pedophilia, is gas prices. And somehow Donald Trump has failed on both situations miserably, like in the most moronic, pathetic way imaginable. It's actually beyond fucking belief. Like, the votes aren't there, one, to nuke the filibuster, and the votes aren't there for a talking filibuster. It's just a reality, Thune said on Tuesday. He's right, unfortunately. I hate John Thune, but he's right. I'm the person who has to deliver sometimes the not so good news that the math doesn't add up. But those are the facts, and there's no getting around it. And he is right. Republicans are not willing to get rid of the filibuster because they can see the writing on the wall. Don't mistake the Republicans in Congress for total morons. Most of them are intelligent, but completely grifting their ass off, evil pieces of shit, of course, but they're not stupid, right? They can see that Trump is declining in popularity. He's more unpopular than ever. He's more unhealthy than ever. And the reality is that if the Democrats win the midterms, and if by some miracle the Democrats also manage to take the Senate, Trump will be gone. If Trump's health fails him, he'll be gone. And even if Democrats take the House but not the Senate, he just becomes a lame duck, right? He won't be able to achieve anything for the rest of his presidency. So that's the reality here. And Republicans want to look ahead here and say, okay, if we get rid of the filibuster and then Democrats take power, we are fucked. We are so fucking cooked if that happens, right? So that's why the Republicans are not as willing as Donald Trump, who doesn't think more than 7 seconds ahead, like we established. They're not willing to get rid of the filibuster to like serve his autocratic desires, of course, right? But why is Donald Trump even willing to say all this in the first place? Why is he willing to declare war with his own party over the Save America Act? Well, it actually goes back to 2020, as all things do with this fucking idiot. It goes back to 2020, where Donald Trump repeatedly lied and falsely claimed, not even falsely claimed, just fucking outright lied that the 2020 election was rigged against him. Now, obviously it wasn't. He just got his ass handed to him by in excess of 10 million votes. Joe Biden beat his fucking ass in 2020 because he completely mishandled the coronavirus pandemic. He crashed the economy. He just completely failed as a leader during his first term, as most Americans forgot when it came time to vote in 2024. But it goes back to 2020, as all things do. Donald Trump directed his FBI and his pathetic stooge, Kash Patel. He said, take a break from partying with athletes, take a break from firing half of the staff at the FBI, take a break from scribbling anti-ICE on bullets to try and create propaganda tweets, take a break from never catching anybody unless they turn themselves in, and go raid these election offices. This was the same event where we saw these bizarre, shady pictures of Russian spy / American Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard present at an FBI raid in Georgia, which makes absolutely no sense. She's supposed to be spying on other countries. Why is she present at an FBI domestic raid? It doesn't make any sense. She just shouldn't be there. Now, most of us realized that this meant they were cooking up some insane plot for the midterms. They were cooking up some crazy batshit bullshit. We weren't sure what it was, of course, but it turns out that and we learned this from a bombshell report last month from the Washington Post, that Trump's plan is to claim Chinese interference in the 2020 election, that he actually won the election, and because of this Chinese interference, it's an imperative that the government, the federal government, nationalize elections, take over elections in these places that were rigged. And magically, those places that were rigged against Trump were all the battleground states that he lost to Joe Biden. It's just like, it's plain as day what's happening, right? Donald Trump is the most prolific liar in history when it comes to elections, of course. He has lied more about elections and the validity of elections and the outcomes of elections. Donald Trump has lied more about those topics than any American in the history of this country. It's not even fucking close, frankly, right? Like, and what's actually incredible about it is the fact that his moronic, no offense, but moronic base actually buys into this bullshit, right? There has literally never been a single shred of evidence supporting the claims of widespread voter fraud in 2020 or in any other election. Never, not a single shred of evidence has ever been brought to the surface, presented to the American people to support this case of election fraud, because it didn't happen. Donald Trump's own Attorney General, Bill Barr, said it didn't happen. Donald Trump's own fucking Vice President, Mike Pence, said it didn't happen. It didn't happen. There is less evidence to support the idea that the 2020 election was rigged than flat Earth. That is how stupid and baseless this conspiracy theory is, and yet 80% of Republicans believe it. We are fucking cooked, ladies and gentlemen. This country is fucking cooked. Okay, so we see Donald Trump once again using this ridiculous, baseless conspiracy theory as a pretext to raid these offices to create another pretext to nationalize elections. We saw this expanding yesterday when the FBI once again raided election offices, this time in Arizona, another battleground state Donald Trump lost to Joe Biden in 2020. Okay, this is all him trying to create pretext to rig the midterms. That is the ultimate outcome goal of all of this. It is their attempt to try and subvert democracy. Okay, these people don't give a fuck about democracy. They don't give a fuck about American principles. They don't care about any of the foundational principles that this country was built upon. They don't care about any of that. They want power. They want power. They are fascist pigs. Okay, and listen, if you don't believe me as to the reason why Trump is so concerned about the midterms, that he'd be willing to go to such great lengths to rig them, well, I'll just let Mike Johnson, Trump's most valiant cock holster and cum slurper in Congress, tell you.
A lower cost to have a better quality of living, on healthcare to increase access and quality of care. Yes.
Let me skip to this part, actually.
I told him this morning what we've talked about many times and what I've said here before. The president is on the ballot in 2026. President Trump is on the ballot next fall. Because if we lose the majority, if the Republicans, the common sense people here who are doing the job for the American people, if we lose the majority in the House and this radical element of the Democrat Party were able to take over, we've already seen that movie. They will try to end the Trump administration. He won't have 4 years, he'll have only 2, because they will move to impeach him probably on the first day of the new Congress in January 2027, and they will try to systematically unwind all the important reforms that we've done for the American people, to lower costs, to have a better quality of living, on health care, to increase access and quality of care. We are the party that is doing that, and the president needs 4 years.
So Mike Johnson is saying here that if Trump loses the midterms, which is looking very likely, if Trump loses the midterms, then it's the end of the Trump presidency. And I just want to make it clear for Mr. Mike Johnson here.
That's what we've been waiting for.
Thank you. So, and how likely is it that the Republicans are going to lose the midterms? Very likely, ladies and gentlemen. A new Quinnipiac poll dropped yesterday saying that Donald Trump's approval rating is down to 37%. 37%, ladies and gentlemen, of Americans think he's doing a good job. 57%. These numbers don't even make sense. 37. Oh, yeah, they do. 57% disapprove. More than half of Americans think he's doing a bad job. Okay. And by extension, the Republicans, who are entirely sycophantic and have become a total cult, obviously now they're thinking more in self-interest with stuff like, we just looked at John Thune saying that he's not going to try and bring the Save America Act to a vote. He's not willing to get rid of the filibuster to do it because it's ridiculous and it's not going to happen. Obviously, the votes to get rid of the filibuster aren't there. The votes to force the SAVE Act through Congress just aren't there. So obviously now reality is starting to set in for Republicans who are more divided than ever. Donald Trump's approval rating is in the toilet. He's less powerful. He has less political influence. He's already essentially just through his horrible performance thus far, he's turned himself into almost a lame duck, right? Now, obviously, he's willing to act as dictator and wield the executive branch to his benefit at every single turn, as we've seen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, of course. So, and Congress can't really do anything about that. Well, they could impeach him, right? But they're still they're still in that cult mindset. It's like an abusive relationship, right? Trump completely takes all of the power away from Congress. He completely, consolidates power in himself, and he's constantly declaring war on his own party in Congress, and yet they still slurp his cock. It's very pathetic and sad, but it is what we don't kink shame here, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, Donald Trump's job as commander-in-chief in the U.S. military, 42% of American adults approve, 55% disapprove. Foreign policy, 40% approve, 57% disapprove. The economy, 39% approve, 58% dis. And the situation with Iran, 38% approve, 57% disapprove. Now, I expect these numbers to actually just continue to get worse as more developing factors like the price of a barrel of oil shooting above $100 and gas prices going up 20% overnight get factored more into these polls in the coming days and weeks. I expect these numbers to just get worse and worse for the Trump administration. And I also implore you to keep in mind that as Trump becomes more and more politically weak, as he loses more and more support of, his base over being a pedophile or from the Republicans, or as his stupid war in Iran becomes more and more unpopular, as his numbers continue to decline because he's just like an incompetent, dementia-addled moron, his actions will get more drastic and dramatic, and he will do more and more. It's like a cornered dog, right? Showing its teeth and biting, right? He's going to try and do whatever he can to hold his grip to power at any cost, okay? At any cost. And that's where things get really scary. We don't know how far he'll actually go with that mindset, and we don't know how far his insane cult-like followers will follow him off of that cliff. But this is why Trump is concerned about the midterms. And again, another Mike Johnson clip here.
And he needs all 4 years, not just 2, to fix the mess. And that's what we need. If we lost the midterms, heaven forbid, if we lost the majority in the House, it would be the end of the Trump presidency in a real effect. So we've got to keep this going, and I think we're excited to put our
Again, I'm just gonna throw this out here.
That's what we've been waiting for!
So, and if you don't believe Mike Johnson and you think he's a rhino somehow, even though he's been one of the most disgusting, vile Trump followers in this entire MAGA cult for this entire second term, and it's really not even close. He's been a pathetic fucking bootlicking stooge for Donald Trump, the likes of which we've never seen before from a Speaker of the House. But if you don't believe him, then take it from Donald Trump himself.
Win the midterms, because if we don't win the midterms, it's just going to be, I mean, they'll find a reason to impeach me. I'll get impeached. We don't impeach them. You know why? Because they're meaner than we are. We should have impeached Joe Biden for 100 different things.
Name one.
They are mean and smart.
Joe Biden was so squeaky clean that they had to spend years attacking his son, Hunter Biden, someone who isn't even a politician and wasn't running for office, because they couldn't get anything on Joe Biden because he was so squeaky clean. Joe Biden's one of the most patriotic people that this country has ever been blessed with as a leader. And it's so unfortunate that some inflation caused by a pandemic that was completely out of his control, that he had actually still managed better than most of the world, led to him and him being old. These are the complaints people had about Joe Biden. There's nothing to impeach Joe Biden over. He was a phenomenal president. And that's why he hates him so much, right? Because he makes him look like an incompetent buffoon, because that's what he is. This is all pretty obvious, right? So that brings us back to here. Donald Trump wants to force the Save America Act. It's just another arm. It's not the entire plan. It's not the entire plot by itself. I'm sure there are many different elements that we haven't seen yet, unfortunately, because we do live in hell. But there will be more parts to this plan than just the Save America Act. I'm sure ICE will be present at all sorts of polling locations. I'm sure plenty of other voter suppression methods will be deployed by the Trump administration. I'm sure that when Republicans do get smacked around in the midterms and fall because they've done such a horrible job governing and they've been essentially just a fascist cult for the past year, I'm sure Donald Trump will cry foul and claim there was fraud and all these ridiculous, baseless things with zero evidence. And I'm sure what's left of his cult-like base will eat it up like the dumb little piggies they are, because that's what they do, right? Although that base is shrinking by the day, thank God. But that's the goal. He wants to rig the midterms because he knows that if he loses the midterms, he's fucking cooked. His presidency is over. He becomes a lame duck, or he gets impeached, hopefully convicted. Hopefully the Democrats manage to even take the Senate. That would be awesome. Hopefully removed from office. And obviously JD Vance is like a wet noodle. He has no charisma whatsoever. So he won't have the cult-like following of a Trump, right? The best replacement for Trump was Charlie Kirk. He's gone. So I think Republicans are pretty fucked here. I hope. The scary thought is that there is even a singular chance, even a 1% chance that Trump succeeds in his mission to rig the midterms in his favor. If that happens, then the reality is that this time next year, we are living in a fascist state, a full-blown fascist dictatorship. That's the reality if Trump actually succeeds on his plan to rig the midterms, but I don't really see it happening just because he's so fucking stupid. He's so dementia-addled. He's incompetent. He has no clue what he's doing. He's losing supporters and followers by the day, right? All that's left is the most like sycophantic yes man possible. It's the Putin problem, right? He has no clue what's going on. He's fucking clueless, senile moron. And we're seeing his presidency crash and burn. And a lot of people who have been in this cult are waking up to that. And a lot of people who've kept their mouths shut or been indifferent or said, I don't really care about politics, I don't follow it. Well, these people are also waking up to the reality that you can't just ignore politics and not give a fuck, right? Because politics is life. You have to care. Okay, so for those of us who have known all the way back since 2015 that this dude was a deranged lunatic and a threat to democracy and a threat to the world order and a threat to liberal democracy as we know it in the United States and an existential threat to our country and has since then done untold damage that we could all see coming from a mile away over and over and over again and loudly warned the American people about over and over and over again to no avail. Unfortunately, that's the reality we live in. So I guess these people waking up from their coma of retardation is better than not. I know it's frustrating, and I hope that every single member of this administration and every single high-ranking member of the media who has supported this MAGA cult spends the rest of their life behind bars. I hope we expropriate Twitter from Elon Musk and bulldoze the fucking buildings. I hope we expropriate Fox from the Murdochs and bulldoze the fucking buildings. I hope that every single member of the media, the Jesse Waters, the Sean Hannitys, all of these people, the Tim Pools who take money from Russia to talk about how Ukraine is the enemy of the American people. I hope all these people live their lives out behind bars in a 5x5 cell, okay, right next to Ghislaine Maxwell, where they belong, okay? These people are corrupt, fascist, pedophilic freaks, okay? And we need to get them the fuck out of our government. And I think the American people finally are waking up to that reality. I hope and pray that's the case, okay? Because if not, this country in 10 years is not in a good place, okay? We are fucking fried. We are fucking cooked if the American people cannot resolve this question of democracy or fascism. You ask me, it's a pretty easy choice. Thanks for watching. Get the hell out of here.